Hello, my name is Alexandra Orlando, and I am the community manager at Kitfox Games. And I am here with Guido slash Neoriceisgood from Dwarf Fortress, and we are talking today about art and what Guido does on the team and a little bit about himself. And we're here to just have a little chat. So, hi, Guido. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me today.
Yeah, so this is so great to finally see you in person. I know you're a bit of a mystery person in the Dwarf Fortress community, the art team, and hopefully we can shed some light on what goes on that side of things because we do hear so much about Tarn and what the programmers are doing, but like the art has been a little bit of a mystery thus far. So yeah, like I'd love to know about a little bit about where you came from and like how you got started doing pixel art for Dwarf Fortress, or maybe also describe what exactly what your role is on the team, especially compared to like the other artists, because there's like a lot going on the art side of things.
Yeah, cool. So I started working as an artist on Dwarf Fortress in 2021. So I've been on the team for a couple of years as a freelancer. Back then, for the Steam release, they needed quite a lot of art in a very small amount of time. So they started recruiting a couple of artists, and they bumped into me. I've been doing pixel art basically since my teenage years, and I do lots of animal assets. Like I've done like 1,000 fish just for the fun of it. And they needed someone to very quickly do lots of animals for the game. And yeah, that's cool. Like I've known of Dwarf Fortress for a long time. Back when it was without any art or anything, where there were no mods, I ran into these stories of people like describing how their entire fortress like got killed because all of their cats turned into werewolves and stuff like that. Or I don't know exactly what it was. I think like were giraffes, something weird. And I always found it like a very fascinating game. But the fact that it had no visuals, no images, also made it impossible for me to like get into it. I have done the people. I have done the were animals. I have done most of the animals, and some of them I'm still kind of like tweaking or fixing up because like a lot of the older animals aren't necessarily completely accurate to what they should look like. All the animal portraits, a big chunk of the monsters, definitely all the monster portraits, giant animals, and I think, am I forgetting something? Almost all of the aquatic animals as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot. That's incredible. Um,
that's 3 years. So 4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
it took 4 years to just do all that. Yeah, I think that's what people like maybe don't realize is that while Tarn is doing like all the bug fixing and the updates, there's also the art team that is just putting out tons and tons of artwork like over the years. And we just because it's not updated in the game doesn't mean it doesn't exist yet, because it does take a lot of time to individually like implement every single one of those things, and there's
Oh
just
yeah.
so much. um, uh, yeah, it's a lot of work, but there's still tons left that people haven't seen yet, which is very exciting.
Oh yeah, like basically anytime I finish an assignment, same for my co-artist. That's basically okay. Here's a list of things we need. Some things that are high priority because they are art for like new functions, often functions that Tarn has kind of like hinted at coming. I want to be very careful with what I say, but I think some of the art has to do with some public stuff. But there are also some projects where it's like, hey, these things we want to add as like a big surprise to the game that needs a lot of new art. And yeah, I think like right now the portrait thing is on a bit of a cooldown after like fixing up some of the stuff and adding like the fish and the small animals, vermin I think is what the game uses for them. Now I'm like on a little new assignment that's a bit of secret still.
That's really cool. So were you, I'm assuming then, were you an artist before you were an animal person, or were you more into animals and then you like did art of the animals based on your interest in that?
Oh, that's a good question. So I like challenging myself with art. As I said, I've been doing art and specifically pixel art since my teenage years, and I've done tile sets and characters. I also do a webcomic on the side where I like basically have to do characters' expressions, portraits, backgrounds, monsters. So I would consider myself like very spread in the things that I do. I'm also a biology teacher, so I do have a natural love for animals, plants, fungi, and all of those things. So when tasks were being divided, I do genuinely like drawing animals, liking monsters and stuff. So I was like, hey, that task sounds cool to me. Yeah.
So cool. And how would you say that like your knowledge of being a biology teacher helps you at all in designing the, for example, like the portraits for Dwarf Fortress? Was that utilized in some way?
Depends a little bit. Like I did notice when going through Dwarf Fortress's like list of animals and stuff that there were a lot of like, oh, I know that one. Oh, I know that one. I think the only thing that surprised me was like the wild amount of gibbons in the game. Like I'm familiar with gibbons existing, and I know that like often like when you have like gibbon or dog or something, there's like a whole bunch of species like under that umbrella. I did not realize that there were so many gibbons, and I was also like genuinely asking in the team, like, is there a reason there's so many of them? But yeah, it depends. Like, I can do like very cartoony art. I can do like more realistic art. I think in recent months, people have seen like both of those for me. For the more realistic stuff, it's definitely good to like have an understanding of like how animals look, what the differences are. But stylizing it is also fun. Yeah.
Did they give a reason as to why there's so many gibbons? Like what was the official answer on that one?
From what I understand, and it's been a while ago since I asked, because this was like in 2021 when I was making the animals, where I was like, hey, this is kind of weird. But I believe that either Tarn or his brother just really, really likes gibbons. I think that was like, it was something like that, but don't quote me on it because I
That
didn't
sounds
have
about right, to be honest. Like based on like how Tarn does things. It's like he likes this. It's like, yep.
yes.
But I do notice too, like especially in some of the original portraits, there was a lot of like personality you gave to those animals, and I'm assuming that was inspired somewhat by like their real life behavior. Like I'm thinking of like the red panda, for example, is like this very smiley, goofy, and he's kind of like
Yeah.
off to the side like that. Like that seems like something that requires a lot of knowledge about animal behavior to be able to like fully uh, reflect that.
Yeah, I think like with the newer portraits, the ones that I fixed up, I basically just went like straight for, okay, this is what the animal looks like. Let's keep it like relatively neutral based on like internal discussions on what would best fit it. With some of the older portraits, but also with some of the animal people, um, I was given a lot of artistic freedom, and as stated, like there needed to be a lot of art relatively quickly. So very often I just look at the animal and okay, what pops into my head? There's a couple of choice ones. I think with the animal people, there's the whale person. There is the walrus person, for example. I don't know. I felt like a walrus person would be like very thick with a nice veiny neck. I think that one and the hippo person as well ended up getting like their own Reddit thread where someone was like, "Why did they have to build them like that?" I was like, "Nailed it."
I think a lot of people want to know what was up with that unicorn, the
Oh, the
original
unicorn.
unicorn portrait. And
I would call it my magnum opus, but I think that was a Dralta. Yeah, the unicorn. That is actually one of the portraits where I did get a little bit of internal feedback to, in quotation marks, tone it down a little bit. But yeah, the version that made it in, I don't know. Like the unicorns in the game, they like go around killing dwarves, right? Just like stabbing them with the horn and stuff. So I was thinking like usually when you have a unicorn, it's more of like a noble beast where it's like only a virgin can ride on top of them, sacred animals. Like, okay, but these are like murderous beasts. It's like I'm gonna make it like scary looking as all hell. So I just like made it kind of like unhinged looking, veiny neck, murder unicorn. But yeah.
it's funny because that seems perfect for Dwarf Fortress, right? Like if a unicorn would be in Dwarf Fortress, it would be like this unhinged version of a unicorn, right? Like, but for some reason that was the one that people were like, no, keep that one like more cartoony and like mythological, I guess, like more traditional.
Yeah, I think like I was following the entire like discussion around the portraits and stuff. Also, when the new ones came in, and then there were a whole bunch of people who much prefer the cartoony ones. But I think that's also generally like a thing. I don't necessarily have a strong preference between them myself. I'm proud of all of the portraits I did. New ones did take a bit more work, obviously. They have way more detailed shading and stuff. I think, yeah, some people, but you see it with like shows and games and stuff, right? There's some people who really like cartoony aesthetics and simple aesthetics and kind of goofy stuff or things with a lot of personality. There's some people who kind of like it realistic and like it a bit of grit to it, just toned down. And when you have a game with over 1 million downloads, you're going to have very vocal proponents of both of them. And as a sim game, you can read it in the discussions around it. A lot of people have their own interpretation of what Dwarf Fortress is meant to be, which I think is beautiful. It's like one of those games where if you want to play it as a very goofy game where you find the silliest way to die, you can do that. If you want to play it as a gritty, realistic dwarf sim where you're like trying to survive the hardships of nature, you can do that. And yeah, it's kind of tricky because like the more visuals you add, uh, the more you kind of set the tone. It's the same thing with books. If a book is illustrated or if a book is turned into a movie, you always get people who have very strong opinions on the casting because
Oh
that's not
yeah.
how I make the character. And I think it's a bit like that.
Yeah, that's honestly exactly what I thought as well. It's like the same thing where it's like if you have a vision of something in your head that was textual or in this case ASCII, and then somebody else creative goes in and says like, "No, this is the visual representation of that thing," and it doesn't match in your brain, then that creates this like weird dissonance where you're like, "Oh no, that's not how I imagined it."
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people out there who just like me thought like looking at the Altar sprite. That's a human looking guy, but apparently that was not the most popular interpretation.
The Drelva was like very good. Very, very good.
I
Um
was proud of it.
and also like we need to like circle back to like no one saw the original like unicorn, so they have no idea what could have been, right? Like there could have been a world where like we could have had even more intense portraits and we didn't
Oh
know
yeah,
that.
but it's probably for the best if that one like stays to rest.
Well, you can imagine it at home, like what could have been, what could have been more hardcore than that, that didn't even make the final cut. Do you have a favorite of the portraits, either new or old or?
Yeah, there's one portrait I really like that is not like in the game yet, but maybe someday it will make it. You know which one I mean. Out of the portraits that I have made, um, I am very proud of the new grizzly bear and also of the new black bear because like getting that fur detail and the shading in there was something that I used to struggle a lot with fur, and I was genuinely really proud with both of them. There's a couple of interesting ones as well. I like the new wolf. I think it looks very intense. Um, but yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them. Like it's very hard. It's like asking you to pick your favorite child in a way. I definitely have some preferences. I think a lot of the animals where like I did the fur detailing and stuff. I think the chameleon, the way I textured the kind of like scaly skin on it, I'm very proud of. Yeah, a bunch of the insects, a bunch of the reptiles, and some of the larger mammals. There's something like the goat. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is, but the goat looks like such a like classic iconic goat. If you look at the thing, like yeah, that's how a goat is supposed to look.
Classic, yeah. They're all amazing. Again, hard to pick favorites. There's just so many. And I highly recommend everyone if you haven't had a chance to go through and just check them out, load up arena mode and check them out because it's a whole thing, a whole wealth of stuff, and there's more coming, which is so exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is there like one thing that you want the Dwarf Fortress community to know that they don't realize about like the art side of Dwarf Fortress?
I can go into the process a little bit of how we work, if that's interesting.
Sure, yeah.
Right now, there's two active artists, and basically we have, as I said, a list of some assignments there in the future. And once in a while, we have a call with Tarn, who basically comes in front of us from his highly throne at the top of Dwarf Fortress to basically like list off like a whole bunch of ideas. And halfway through those conversations, usually like a new idea comes up. Oh, this would be cool too. And we basically just kind of like divide between us, like, hey, what are we going to be interested in, or what seems like the highest priority out of the things available. The other artist, Laughing Llama, mostly works on terrain, procedurals, and stuff like that. I are mostly in monsters and animals and everything related to that. And we've kind of like stuck to that, not just from preferences, but when you're already familiar with the process, it's much easier to step into something you're already doing. Because like if I had to do the procedurals, I haven't done any of that. So I would have to go through like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to give the files and stuff? Whereas the other artist already basically knows that. That's why we're mostly sticking our own lanes. It's not so much a preference as in it keeps the workflow more efficient. But yeah, like I will say like Tarn as a leader is very receptive to ideas from our side, very enthusiastic. It's kind of interesting when the entire portrait thing came up. It was also like when we showed Tarn new art, he's just such a like easygoing, happy, eager fellow. It's like, oh, this is amazing. A small little detail is I know that Tarn likes something that is sent because I always see a reaction of this dancing blob emote like appear on art. This is a consistent thing that Tarn does, post art, and I suddenly see a dancing blob appearing underneath. It's like, okay, Tarn approved. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the dancing blob too. It's kind of like a little like sign of approval. Like, you're doing great. We're all vibing. That's yeah. I love working with Tarn too. Very very cool. And especially when he talks about animals, I find he just gets so excited. Like,
I have noticed that, yes.
oh, so excited. He'll have pictures on his phone. He's like, look at these pictures of these animals, or like he'll visit a zoo, or like, when we went to Gamescom, he's like, I have to go to the zoo. I have to take pictures of the animals. I'm like, yes, do it. So it's just it's great to see that like you're also able, you both have that love of animals and you can like channel that into the game, and I think it's very evident of the care and the detail that goes into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I already noticed from the start, like the huge variety of like animals and all the animals having babies, like and oh yeah, all of the fishes need babies too. It's wild. It's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. It does get complicated when it's like, okay, like there's giant animals, there's baby animals. Are they giant babies?
Yeah, what's the difference
But
between a giant baby and a regular baby? Just the size, I guess, but maybe something else.
oh yeah, there's I mean that's like one of those questions that comes up, like which things need art and which things would be nice to have art for. We've had long discussions on that exact question, like what is the most important place to actually put our effort. Because yeah, sometimes you have things that are like it would be cool if they were unique, but they're also so similar that maybe it's not necessary. But who knows? Like
There's always time for everything. That's what's
yeah,
like
there's
the beauty
a
of
lot
working
of
on a
stuff.
lifetime game, right? It's like it'll
Yeah,
get done at some point.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. I guess we'll end it here. Is there places that people can go to see more of your art?
Yeah, I am active nowadays mostly on Blue Sky and Instagram. Um,
We can share those
it can
links.
probably be a link up here. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, on Blue Sky, I just kind of like throw random like art posts in there. Sometimes I also take suggestions. If I do like one of my animal sheets or something, hey, does anyone know a cool chicken breed? And well, sometimes I make those. Not taking suggestions for Dwarf Fortress. That's not within my power. Just to be clear.
Yeah, don't
And
open
on my
that. Don't open that.
just being clear, for private art, yeah, sometimes when I'm like, my recent project was like 100 flowers, and I was just asking people like, do you have a favorite flower? Adding that to the list. And yeah, Instagram, more finished works. Yeah.
And then, of course, you can see all the Dwarf Fortress updates where the Dwarf Fortress work gets revealed as well. So
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Well, thank you so much. This was lovely. Hopefully, people have a better idea about what goes on behind the scenes in the art side of things and get to know you a little bit more. And if you want to ever say hi, to Guido, we're always kind of around the Discord or the Reddit sometimes, and pop in to answer
Yeah,
questions every once in a while.
yeah. Keeping my eyes on things. Recently, when there were a lot of questions about the art and stuff, I was like flying around there a little bit. So
Yeah.
usually I'm lurking, but I do pay attention.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And yeah,
Yeah.
bye
Thank you for your
everyone.
time as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.